I, male 53, was married for 20 years and my wife passed away 4 years ago. We had no children, so many years ago we both did our wills. In our wills, we gave each other everything, and if we both died, then everything would go to my wife's nieces and nephews. I have no living relatives. I did this because my wife's parents had some money and my wife inherited several $1 million from them. One of the things we did with her inheritance was we bought our dream house. It's a big house, about 4,500 square feet, with a 1,500 square foot garage in the country. About a year ago, I met Samantha, female 55. She owns her own house, but she would always come to my house and spend the night. We talked and I said she could move in with me. Samantha has a daughter who's 25 and asked if she could move in too. My basement is big with a small kitchen, extra bedrooms, etc., so I didn't mind. Samantha is in the process of selling her house, and she asked me if I would put in my will that she would get my house if I died. I told her no, that was from my in-laws' money, and that should go to all my nieces and nephews as it says in my will. Samantha argues that if I die and she has no house, she will have no place to live. I told her, yeah, you get the money from the sale of your house, plus you won't have a mortgage payment, so take that money and put it in a money market account. I was pretty put off by this conversation because, from my point of view, Samantha would have zero expenses, and she could put all her money into savings, minus whatever she wants to buy herself. Not like she doesn't have a job. We got heated over this conversation, and Samantha said I was trying to control her with money. When she said that, I told her that this relationship might not be a good idea. So, am I the idiot for not being willing to house my girlfriend after she put her house up for sale? You are not the idiot, you are being used. They don't care about you. They want to squat till you die and claim it all. Also, you're 53, that's not really that old. And this 1-year girlfriend is talking about what happens when you die? Red flags like Tiananmen Square, dude. We have dated for a year. You owe me a house. She's manipulating you. Nobody is forcing her to sell or move in. She could always rent her house out. She's in no way entitled to inherit a house purchased with money belonging to your deceased wife and her family. You may or may not be surprised to know how often this scenario sets up this way. I'm surprised your wife's attorney didn't insist upon making sure your joint wills didn't set in stone as soon as she passed. My parents did their wills that way after watching multiple second wives of friends inherit all of the first wife's estates, cutting out the first wife's children entirely. She found a man who was widowed recently, at least 4 years in comparison to 20 together feels like a short period, and has no children to will his assets to, only the late wife's extended family, and within a year of their relationship is expecting OP to start writing things out for her to benefit from his death. When OP said Samantha asked to be in his will, Samantha was already plotting her big payout. That's very concerning, OP. I think living together may be a mistake. Don't do it, OP. You could physically be in danger if you do. I understand it might be hard to be alone after 2 decades of marriage, but there are a lot of other people out there who won't want to take advantage of you like this woman seems to be. Better yet, rethink the relationship. This happened about a week ago, but I wanted to ask. My wife, my son Jax, 18, and I went on a week-long Caribbean cruise right after his school ended. Jax is a great kid, but he has a confidence issue, as in, there is too much confidence, lol. I've never seen anything like it. He's the most self-assured guy in the world. It's not unfounded, he's great-looking and athletic and a Mr. Personality type, but still, a bit goes a long way. He's also an exhibitionist, I think, which brings us to the problem. Usually he's so charming it seems harmless, and he gets away with it, but in this case, not so. We arrive on the ship and set sail, and Jax gets ready to head to one of the pools for the first time. Let's just say his swimsuit was not appropriate at all. Definitely a flaunt it type of suit. I told him to put on something else. He had nothing. The kid had packed nothing but those for a week-long cruise. What was he thinking? I told him he had to go to one of the onboard stores and buy something else. He protested. I won. He went to a store, returned and got ready to go again, but he bought another Speedo-style suit that was much better than what he had before, but still not appropriate. And of course he couldn't return a swimsuit. I told him to go back and buy a proper suit, like trunks or boardy shorts or whatever, which he reluctantly did. He whined about it and begged to wear his original, but I said no. As I said, I have to admire his confidence, as he would have no issue being at the pool like that, and would chat up girls all day long. He's a shameless flirt. But there's a time and a place. He was mad at me and said I made him waste $100 plus on 2 new suits he didn't need. He didn't exactly call me an idiot, but he wasn't happy. I didn't want to ruin his vacation, but I wanted him to be decent. So am I the idiot, and should I have just let him wear what he wanted? Everyone's the idiot here. If he was wearing that sheer when wet business, you saved him being charged with indecent exposure and your whole family possibly being put off the ship at the next port of call. Yes, they do that when people commit a crime. But the Speedos he bought from the ship's store were appropriate and you should have accepted them. Then you'd be teaching them the line between cheeky but legal unacceptable and things that will get you arrested. The former is something young adults should get to choose for themselves, especially in environments where they're expected, like cruises and resorts, while the latter protects them from potentially very serious legal consequences while you still have some degree of power and control. Right? I can't imagine a Caribbean cruise that wouldn't have a lot of bespeedoed Europeans already. My parents dragged me on an oldies cruise they got free tickets to when I was a teen. Dad was in one of the bands performing, and the American men stood out for not wearing cheeky little swimsuits. If 65-plus dudes in tiny briefs didn't bother anyone in 2002, the 18-year-old could wear the Speedo he bought on the ship. OP, you are the idiot for refusing to accept a viable compromise. I do understand being uncomfortable with his first pick, it's essentially skimpy lingerie, but trying to force long shorts on him is ridiculous, and you're overthinking it. If women can wear bikinis, why can't men wear Speedos? Sir, he's 18, he's not a kid, he's a literal adult. The ship literally sold them on board, meaning they were, by definition, acceptable for swimming on board. Just a small remark, never go to France. Many swimming pools in France dictate Speedos for men. Nothing loose, no shorts. It must be cropped and tight. They think it's not hygienic otherwise. I, male 28, have been with my girlfriend 23 for 4 years, living together for 3. I pay all our bills, only requiring my girlfriend to keep up with house chores. She has a part-time job where she works 3 days a week as a cashier at a beauty salon. She makes minimum wage and all of her money goes to her hair, nails and clothes. I've never minded this. I like it when my girl feels and looks good. A month ago, we found out she was 6 weeks pregnant. We were both shocked-ish. We didn't make a big effort to prevent it and immediately told our family the news. We're renting an apartment, but it's extremely cheap, way below my budget. I was planning to purchase a house within the next year as I've been able to save a lot, especially since I'm a frugal person. Unfortunately, I was laid off 2 weeks ago, but it wasn't a big deal. Like I said, I've saved enough to easily live without working for at least a year. The plan obviously was not to wait a year before getting a new job. I immediately started searching again. However, my girlfriend took the news badly and was even mad at me. She was distant and refused to talk to me because she thought I wasn't taking things seriously enough. I told her that we, including the baby, were fine and that finances were still good. My girlfriend doesn't know how much money I made and how much I've saved. This is because at my previous job she knew how much I made and was always begging me to make big purchases and asking for money. I started keeping my income and savings from her because she's not good with planning for the future financially. On Thursday, my girlfriend came into our bedroom sobbing and told me that she thought she'd lost it. I offered to take her to the hospital and she told me her mother was outside and would be taking her. I offered to go with her and she told me she only wanted to be with her mother. I let them go and tried to keep myself from having a panic attack the whole time I waited. When she came home that night, she confirmed that she had a loss and that it must have been from stress. We held each other and cried that night. In the morning, I noticed she was crying again. She started apologizing and told me she had a termination. I was shocked and hurt and in disbelief. I told her to get her stuff and leave. She begged me some more before I, very calmly, pushed her out of my room and closed the door. I heard her crying and moving things around for about an hour before she left the apartment. I haven't spoken to her since. Her sister ended up calling me and telling me I was a horrible person for kicking her out after going through such a traumatic event. Is this not traumatic to me? She told me my girlfriend had to do this because she knew we were not financially prepared. I let her sister know that I wasn't worried about finances and that it still didn't justify her getting rid of our baby without my input. Now I'm faced with telling my family what happened. Am I really wrong? Everyone's the idiot here. Obviously, she should have talked to you about it, but if my partner was laid off and didn't worry about it, I would also not think it's a good time to have a child. You can't trust your girlfriend with the knowledge of how much you have in savings and what your income is, but you were going to bring a child into the world with her? This doesn't sound like a breakup that was only about her decision here. It sounds like you're both better off apart. Quite frankly, it's a good thing you didn't bring a child into such a dysfunctional relationship. I agree. You and she are very badly matched. You don't trust her enough to let her know the full extent of your earnings and savings. And why? Because she can't be trusted to view that money the same way you do. I'm sorry for your sorrow. This is going to be for the best in the long run because this woman does not share your approach to the business of being in a long-term partnership. I, female 42, and my husband 45 have a daughter, teen, whom I love to bits. However, we recently had an argument that has led me to not wanting to talk to her. I've been a stay-at-home mom pretty much as long as she's been alive, quitting my teaching job when she was a toddler. My husband is a businessman who makes a lot of money from his work, allowing us to be reliant on him. We own our home, all have good health insurance, and are able to afford things without worrying about money. This hasn't always been the case, as shortly after we moved to the States, my husband was struggling to get his business off the ground, leading me to support the two of us. I work full-time as a teacher Monday, Wednesday and Friday evenings at a restaurant, and I worked in a coffee shop on Saturday and Sunday to make ends meet. Once my husband was more successful in his business, I was able to stop working in the restaurant and coffee shop and just teach. After we bought our home, we decided to have a baby, my daughter. We later agreed that I should quit my job to look after her and our home, as we often argued about chores from having a busy schedule. After leaving my job, I looked after our house and daughter, always made home-cooked meals, helped with her homework when she needed it, and tried to be a rock for my husband to lean on when he needed me. We've never had to worry about money since having our daughter, and have always been able to give her everything she wants, from tennis lessons to new clothes. We try to make her as happy as possible. However, as she's gotten older, she's become more distant from me, which I assume was due to being a teenager. I was pretty grumpy at her age. When I noticed her grades were slipping significantly from A's and B's to C's and D's, I encouraged her to study more and go out less, telling her that she could only go out with friends on the weekend once her work was done, which upset her. She told me that she wouldn't take study advice from a gold digger who had no accomplishments of her own and had to rely on a man to pay for her things. This upset me and I told her off for it, explaining to her I used to teach and pay for everything before her father's business took off, leaving her stunned. I had never told her about our prior financial struggles, as I'd felt she didn't need to know as everything was fine now. She's apologized to me since and I accepted the apology. However, I haven't wanted to speak to her as I'm still upset that her opinion of me was so low. My husband has told me I need to go back to normal with her as the tension makes him uncomfortable and he hates seeing her so upset. However, her behavior towards me has made me angry and I do not want to resolve things just yet. I love my daughter and husband, but I thought I was being fair in how I felt, especially after being scolded by my teenager for sacrificing my job to look after her. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your daughter fabricated a hurtful storyline painting you in despicable ways. That's a hard one to swallow. She lashed out as the immature child she was without fact-checking herself. She went straight to disrespect and looked down on you. Accepting the apologies doesn't remove the pain caused. You have the right to allow yourself the time to compose yourself and digest your daughter's awful outburst. How does she not know that you work too, just not paid work, and that marriage is a team effort? That could be another lesson here. You and your husband chose a division of labor that worked for your family. She should know that. You also helped him build the business, not his, with your hard work, supporting him until the business took off. Have her do your whole job over the summer and then see if she thinks you deserve disrespect for it. What gets me is that the OP has never told her daughter about her past career. Imagine getting to your teen years and finding out your mum is a qualified teacher. There are some big communication gaps going on here. I'll bet some of her friends have been in her ear about her stay-at-home mum. Their own mums are probably jealous. Either way, OP, your husband seems only worried about himself. It makes him uncomfortable, never mind how it makes you feel. He doesn't like seeing your daughter upset, regardless whether it is warranted. My husband, 32, and I, 32 female, have a daughter, Mia, tween, as well as 2 sons, younger tweens. We all went to a Mother's Day breakfast with my siblings and parents. We had a reservation at a high-end restaurant. My sister Courtney, 37, has 2 kids, a young teen female and a tween son. Her son Dudley has a friend from basketball whose parents are from the Philippines. My sister and her husband, and no one in our family really except Dudley, are not sports people, but ever since he could walk, Dudley has loved basketball. His parents put him in a program as a toddler, and that's where he met his best friend. Dudley has gifts from his friend from the nation and has travelled there with them. Dudley was wearing some traditional outfit from the tribe his friend's family is part of. I don't remember the name of the outfit or tribe, though Dudley mentioned it. Mia is unfortunately going through her preteen mean girls phase right now. We've tried everything, but she's still acting out. Mia commented as soon as she saw Dudley, asking him why he was wearing something so ugly. She asked him if he was shopping for clothes in the dark. I told her to stop, but she continued teasing him. When Dudley explained what he was wearing, Mia said, "Those people must be weird," referring to the tribe of which Dudley's friend is a part. At this point, I told Mia to get up and told her we needed to speak. She got up and I went to the car with her and told her to knock it off. She told me no. After some arguing, we went back and finished our food and then we drove home. When we got home, I told my husband we needed to speak. After speaking, we told her she was grounded for a week and took her phone away. We went to my sister's house to exchange gifts, and while there, my mom said she was upset at how we punished Mia, saying that she was only a tween and we were being too hard on her. She said that Mia would make mistakes and that taking her phone away was too harsh a punishment and would only make her resent Dudley. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. She needs to learn that her behaviour was completely unacceptable and that actions have consequences. She chose to continue to be a brat, so she got that outcome. Good on you and your husband for parenting your child. Tell your mother that raising your child is your business, not hers, and you're not going to put up with bad behaviour and intentional rudeness. And if you can manage to look at her pointedly, hinting that you also mean her behaviour, so much the better. If she's acting like this in front of her parents, how is she acting behind a keyboard? Yikes. Mean girls learn they're not the queen bee by being shown they aren't. A lot more workplaces would be a lot more pleasant if there weren't the gossipy queen bees always trying to relive their high school clique days.